All right, and welcome back to Totoro Tuesday, or I do mean TwoSun Tuesday. All right, we're continuing on. This is the TS128, also known as the Dynamo, and some of y'all might not exactly like the review or not. I don't know. I guess I'll find out. But here we go. This was my first foray with TwoSun into kind of their fancier steels. This guy is in S90V, and they have been tested to, actually use that correct steel. However, this one doesn't have a good heat treat, period, straight off the bat. I've done a cut test on this guy, and it's done consistently 300 cuts, which is little less than I'm getting out of D2 from them. So there's that. I'm not obviously the only one who's had that sort of thing. Kind of what tipped me off to do a little bit of cut testing of my own was Pete over at Cedric and Ada's channel, where he took a look at this guy and he had similar results of the blade just really not holding up. Now, that being said, they have made a lot more knives, including more of these, in S90V since. And some of them have done much better, so they have improved their heat treat. But I will kind of warn you in advance if you are kind of looking for some older and used TwoSuns, especially kind of the earlier ones like this, and high-end steel, especially S90V though. It may not exactly give you what you want in terms of edge performance. On the opposite side of that, they are a little bit easier to sharpen than a normal S90V, but hey, there you go. All right, and this is, this is a Tepe design, and with almost all Tepe designs, they're actually numbered. Mine is Giddy Up number 409. So, like I was saying, they are still making this model, and there is an upgraded version that had just recently come on the market, and basically the only difference is the carbon fiber pattern on this side isn't just the standard weave pattern, but a little bit more striated or something like that. But I don't really see almost any other difference there between them. We got kind of sandblasted sort of thing on the backside here, and you see, I got a couple of snail trails because I've actually held on to this thing. That's kind of the problem with titanium in general. You just gotta roll with the punches with that. But yeah, all right, let's go ahead and talk about this guy a little bit. First thing up, for such a small knife, this blade stock is enormous. I think it's about 4 millimeters. We'll certainly measure it and everything during the review here, just so I don't lie to y'all. But something that I really do like about this guy is the flipper nub, maybe, I don't know, disc. It's not really a tab. It's much less of that. It does stick out, but it's not pointy at all. It's got a nice jump to it. And it also offers a decent finger guard once it is out and open. I really do kind of miss that. I've seen many other Tepe designs because he's made quite a few for TwoSun, as well as some others. He's certainly not an exclusive designer to TwoSun, and that's always a good thing. Made the Killage, Kilij, is a really popular other high-end kind of model that he makes from a different manufacturer and whatnot. And I do like to see people branch out and kind of have their designs go into different places. That being said, something that I've noticed with a lot of Tepe designs is they're not exactly the most accommodating for the largest of hands. A lot of them are designed, very much EDC in mind, 3-inch or less kind of blade. And this guy actually does a pretty darn good job. It's a 3-finger, but It's very comfortable to rest your pinky there at the butt end of that thing, so you really can get a decent grab hold of those guys. But with a lot of other ones that I've noticed from them, especially when like a finger choil is involved, it's usually a little too small for me, or the blade itself is not quite as long as I'd want. But I think that's kind of a personal preference sort of thing. Whereas I do kind of like longer blades, and I absolutely understand the importance of the smaller guys like this, especially for places where you can't really, carry a giant 4-inch blade or whatnot, or just having it be lighter and whatnot. But yeah, this is a. Oh, it's really hard to say. I mean, technically it drops just slightly, so we'll go with drop point. But yeah, it kind of reminds me almost of a skinning blade kind of thing going on there, where you could easily get your finger out there to protect the tip as you're doing some skinning tasks or whatever. I probably wouldn't do that with such a small blade. Speaking of which, yeah, we're coming in under 2.5 inches there. So yeah, very EDC friendly, which is nice. We have basically a very, very high saber grind going on here. And yeah, it does come down to a very, very nice point, especially as I've sharpened this guy to 15 degree, which I'm going to change because of the fact that the heat treat on this is not done super well. I want to actually have it be a little more obtuse of an edge, try to get a little bit more steel behind it to reinforce it, kind of treat it a little bit more like a D2 and 14C28N and whatnot, and we'll see if that actually improves things. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on there. The action on this guy is quite nice. The detent works great, and there's no other deployment method to really worry about with detent sort of stuff. But yeah, very, very easy to deploy. We do have a scallop out in both the titanium piece, or frame lock, there you go, as well as a carbon fiber there, which is nice. Makes it quite easy to get your thumb meat all up in there, even if you got, larger thumbs or whatnot. It's super easy to get in there to push it to the side and close it. So that's pretty fantastic. The pocket clip on this guy is very, very, very small and understated. It does have a little bit of the milling that is carried over on the titanium scale. And the carbon scale, for that matter. Yeah, some nice milling lines and everything there. Adds some nice texture to it. Yeah. Little titanium backspacer there. The blade is a little close on the side here. You can probably see after I've rubbed that. Yeah, I got just a little bit of a dead skin from my fingernail there. Or not from my fingernail, from my finger. So it's just a little bit too close to the spine, I think, necessarily for my liking. Just because, it's a little bit easier to mess up that part of the blade. But it's not, fully exposed. We still do have basically like half of the blade in the backspacer area that's fully safe there. It's kind of what happens with a lot of designers when they want to make something very, very, very thin. But they still do want to maximize the height of a blade. We've seen it before. Something from never mind. I was going to say the 115 from Caleb Fetchner, but I don't think that one was the one that I was complaining about. It might have been, yeah. But either way, we've seen it before. And yeah, it's not exclusive to TwoSun at all, especially because these two knives are from different designers. But yeah, and we can see by the screw here, it's pretty hard to see kind of up there at the lock in point. But this does have a hardened steel insert on there, because about the only company who typically doesn't do that anymore is Chris Reeve, and I think that's mostly out of tradition at this point. But yeah, all right, we can pop this guy open, kind of take a look on the inside here. We have that single spacer sort of thing there, so you do have to remove the pocket clip to be able to disassemble this guy. But very, very easy, just one screw for the pivot right there. And then this guy's ready to pop open and show you all its inner glory. I do want to release that post just a little bit. There we go. Yeah. All right. So yeah, we got the single post there that I was just kind of loosened up a little bit. And we do have a another internal pin or whatnot that goes through to kind of stabilize that. You see the weave on the inside goes all the way through, you know, very, very nice, if not just a little less polished on the inside, but still looks super nice. And we do also have a both sides, in fact, do have steel race bearings on, or steel bearing race tracks or whatnot that you want to call that. Basically washers for them to ride on, because especially ceramic bearings don't actually feel all that great and can slowly deteriorate and wear away at both carbon fiber and titanium. So that kind of gives it a much more smooth area for it to be on. All right, and yeah, we got itty bitty little ceramic bearings on these guys. They are still in their nylon cages, as always. But yeah, we do have a reverse detent track on this guy. Nice. Most TwoSuns do. Not absolutely every single one of them, but most of them do. And I do like the finish on the blade. It's kind of a subtle kind of stone washing to it. It's certainly not satin, and I'm kind of glad for that, because I'm getting a little bored in general of just satin everything, and they're really easy to scratch up unless they are incredibly hard. So yeah, I'm glad to see this kind of have a frosted stone wash or maybe bead blast kind of thing going on there. But yeah, we do have an internal blade pin. And they haven't fallen victim on this particular design of pushing the pivot far enough forward that that pin and these little pin race are exposed to the elements. That does keep it a little bit cleaner on the inside. You know, I'm all about that. Yeah, with how thick this titanium scale is, it really does seem like they could have easily milled out some of these pockets to, milled out some pockets in here to just reduce the weight a little bit. This is a small knife, and it doesn't weigh a whole lot, but that is certainly not to say that it doesn't have a heft to it. This is kind of one of their little bit older designs, so it doesn't have a D-shaped pivot on either side there, so keep that in mind. I have not myself run into any problems kind of with disassembly or reassembly. Not to say that it can't happen to somebody, but it just has not happened to me yet, so. Very, very easy construction. Let's actually get that bearing in there so I don't disgrace myself and continue the trend of forgetting to put that secondary bevel in there. And yeah, the pivot screw is the shorter of those two, because it doesn't have to reach through and into the clip there, or reach through the clip and into the barrel thingy. I should probably look up the actual term for that. It's not quite Chicago screw, but kind of makes me think think that it's pretty darn similar to it. But yeah, super easy to get that guy back together. Real easy to clean out because of that. You know, it is quite a nice design. You can see just a little tiny trace of that's the detent hole on the blade there. That's exposed when it's completely open, but very minimal. So I wouldn't really worry about getting too much detritus in there, because as soon as you move that, unless it's absolutely super fine, like you're dealing with, like, I don't know, maybe you cut open a bag of powdered sugar or something like that. If it's any larger than that, you won't have to worry about it getting in there. So that's fantastic. But yeah, I really do like this guy. I was very disappointed with the performance of the blade, unfortunately. Like I also mentioned earlier, they have done a lot to improve their heat treat, I think specifically with S90V, over the past year or so. So a lot of their newer models in S90V are probably doing a darn good job. I've tested a Fangtooth, which is a slip joint from Aswan Mokhtar that also had S90V, and it was immensely more difficult to sharpen, but also cut fantastically, whereas this one cut just under D2 levels, sort of thing. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still a decent sort of a thing for EDC, and I'm not sad that I have it or anything like that. But yeah, this is certainly one of those cases where you really have to say that the heat treat is almost as important as the blade steel itself for the actual performance. Those are kind of the things that you do hear from time to time, and I guess it does kind of make sense a little bit. You know, Buck is very well known for being able to get just an amazing amount of performance out of 420HC with their BOS heat treat. And they put that label on S35VN, but it basically acts about the same. But they are known for getting a lot out of 420HC. Similarly, Cold Steel has been able to get an amazing amount of performance out of AOS 8A for a lot of their models, both present and in the past. It's just, one of those things of, if you get the heat treat super right for certain steels, then hey. And it's also probably why some companies like Spyderco can even actually get a little bit more performance out of HCR13 MOV than most of the other companies manufacturing cheap goods out of China and whatnot. It's still not a steel that I personally want to purchase, but it's it's out there, it's cheap, so sure. But yeah, that's about all I really have to say about this guy. I have not done any anodization to this thing yet. I have seen some people do some flame anodization, where you'll actually take a blowtorch to the titanium, get it up to kind of a glowing temperature kind of thing, and then you douse it in ferric chloride or whatever, and that kind of gets you that crazy patterning that almost kind of looks like lightning bolts and purples and blues and whatnot out of there. And I'm actually interested in trying to do some of that stuff, but it does require some stuff that I actually have to step out of the house to be able to, pick up and experiment with. I can get ferric chloride delivered, but it's probably much more expensive than just, wandering into a hardware store, where I'd also actually need to purchase a propane torch, which cannot be delivered. And that absolutely makes sense. So, yeah, one of these days I'll experiment with that sort of stuff out in, either the backyard or the garage, somewhere where I'm not going to accidentally burn the house down. At least that's the plan. I don't know. But yeah. I do like this guy. I like it a lot. This was also, like I said, the first TwoSun that I've had that had kind of a fancier blade steel on there. And yep, I took it at face value at first and just kind of sharpened it up. But once I tested it, I was like, uh-oh. But between the time in which I've had this, I'd also purchased, I think, some more slip joints and whatnot, which TwoSun really likes to do in some of their higher end steels. So I have a lot of S90V and M390 and their slip joints and whatnot. But yeah, and a lot of them I have tested. I haven't tested them all. So there could be some in there that kind of have lackluster performance like this guy. But at the end of the day, they're still knives. They still cut. This certainly does get you much more than a single day's worth of use if you were, just cutting like crazy or whatnot. So it's still very, very usable. It's just not the epic performance that the S90V can do when it's properly treated. So all right, that's about as I don't know, diplomatic as I think I could probably be on on that front. I don't know. Some people who are really into TwoSuns don't really want to hear anything about the negatives, and that is certainly one of them. It is nice to see them improve, but for those who'd already purchased them, especially for kind of higher prices, they're not quite getting their money's worth at that for some of those older ones. So, yeah. All right. Well, that's what I got to say about the TS128. And this one's a little bit more difficult, I suppose, for me to do that kind of flick. Mostly because I just don't have enough room to move my thumb out of the way. Most of the time, on larger knives, I'll do that. I'll have my thumb on the clip, which is what I have to do here. But it's just a little bit too far forward for me to really find that super comfortable. But yeah, a lot of people will do the front flip with the finger, which is great. A lot of times I actually just treat them like a big lighter though, because that works as well. And yeah, this guy does a pretty darn good job. I do like the hourglass shape on it too. Yeah, I will say as far as the design goes, good job. I do like it quite a bit. I've carried it and will continue to do so from time to time. It's hard to find one or two knives that get the majority of my pocket time, like all the time at this point. For years, it was the Benchmade 940, the Spyderco Manix 2XL, and the Spyderco Endura 4. All three of those I would carry basically every day on me. But I have many more options these days, and really want to get to know the ins and outs and how they cut and all that sort of stuff with them. So yeah, it's just kind of a journey of experimentation, and I've experimented with this guy quite a bit. All right, well, that's basically everything that I can think of to say about the TS128 here. I do want to kind of, at the very end here, kind of reiterate something that I said earlier of this knife is still actively being manufactured. And the newer ones should, I don't have one myself to be able to actually compare that, but the newer ones should have much better performance than this. And something that you can do with these guys, especially if you're looking at used models or whatnot, is Tepe Designs almost always numbers their blades. And this one's kind of an early one at 409. So you kind of want to look for something that's a bit higher in the model number if you are looking for a used one rather than, purchasing one new through either their AliExpress store or eBay. So, yeah. All right. That's everything I got to say. As always, I appreciate y'all, and I hope you have yourself a wonderful rest of your day, yo. Subscribe.